Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name is Invin and today I'm going to be going over the top 5 things that you need to avoid in New World's endgame. These are going to be essential things to avoid once you do hit that level 60 mark, which as you guys can see I have now hit. Been here for a couple of days now and I've found out some really important things that I need to go over with you guys so that you don't fall into some of the traps maybe I've done or company members have done or even people have commented to me about on here on Twitch and on Twitter. So I've kind of compiled the best ones and put them into a short list for you guys. Now, I'm sat at Great Cleave. This is going to be the first point right here. Go to your faction vendor and have a little look at the buy rewards section. Now, in here, you will see that there is tons of gear in here, and because obviously it's the highest level stuff, there is lots of different things going on. Obviously, you've got your light, you've got your heavy, and you've got your medium. Now, what a lot of you guys will notice is, on top of having heavy, you've got heavy here, which is 535 gear score. It's the one I've currently got equipped. But there's also a heavy one here, which is a 520 gear score. Now, this is really important. So there's 2 things here that are really important. First of all, obviously the cost. This one is 45k, the other one is 30k. So if you're trying to get a quick set, once you do get up to that point, the cheaper options can be good because you can get the chest plate and the other stuff as well. Also, you've got the stats. So the stats on this one are plus 22 constitution, whereas if you're going for a strength-based build, this is plus 12 strength, plus 8 con. However, if we have a look at the one that I actually have equipped right now, because I actually bought the 22 Constitution one, which I'll go into in just a second, I actually have plus 13 Strength and plus 8 Con once you use a Barbarian seal on it. So I would always recommend saving up the extra points. It is worth it for an extra stat point, and on top of that, you'll see here that it's got Corruption Resistance, and it's also got Refreshing, which is a max cooldown reduction. Now, I put the Physical Ward 3 gem in there as well, just as a side note, but it doesn't come with the gem, it just comes with the slot. But if you go back into the faction vendor, you'll see here that the other chest plate, so the 30,000 one, the cheaper one of the 2, is a lower gear score overall for a start. But on top of that, it actually has different perks. It actually has Resilient, which is critical hit steal 4.5% less damage. Now, for PvP, this is really good, and for lots of PvE, this is also really good. But if you are going to be doing a lot of endgame farming, particularly in Shattered Mountains, for example, where they're going to be in corruption zones, you're going to be fighting corrupted mobs, having this extra corruption resistance on your pieces of armor is going to be very good. Now, if you're in light or medium, this doesn't stand because, as you guys can see, these are just exactly refreshing and resilient, refreshing, resilient, and that is kind of the only option you guys have. So it's only if you're going for heavy armor. But obviously, it's up to you if you want to spend less faction tokens on it, spend less time, just get the strength and the con straight off the bat and go for the resilient stuff. Fine. If you want to maybe go for that first and then go for the other stuff later on, also fine. But just so you know, there is 2 versions of every heavy item in the shop, and you can go for that corruption resistance if you want to put the extra time in. It is certainly worth it. I've managed to farm these zones very effectively with this resistance added, so I would certainly recommend it. And going forward into future content, I would imagine there's going to be a lot more corruption stuff coming on into the game, so I would imagine that will put you in good stead, even if you just keep the set once you get better stuff as kind of a backup. So I personally would be going for that. Now, on top of this, you want to make sure that you're actually grinding up the gear, like I mentioned there, the elite zones or the dungeons, any of the expeditions that you might have done. You will see that obviously this is tier 4 stuff right here, so you've got a few different things. But when you go into tier 5, as you can see there, this rapier is score 500. Now, if I hover over this one, I've got a 510 hatchet, I've got a 519 hammer. So essentially what happens is once you get to level 60, you will start getting 500 base gear score drops, which is the lowest point you can get from 60 onwards, or it's the starting point, I should say, from where you start off. Then every time you get loot, you have a small percentage chance, based on what your previous one is, to go up. So you'll go then to 503, then 505, then 507, 510, and so on and so forth, all the way up to 600 gear score. Now, this must be collected items. I have had reliable people in-game and externally tell me that you don't have to equip the items, but personally, for my own peace of mind, I always equip the item of the highest gear score into my slot in order to update that watermark. Whether you have to or not is another story, but I would recommend you guys do it just to be on the safe side. As you'll see from gear, so obviously this is faction gear. This is something that I've picked up, so 502 plus 20 strength, really nice. 505 on the leggings, and each individual slot then has its individual gear score marks. And now I've got 502, I could get 505. On this one, now I've got 505, I'll be getting 507s, 510s, and so on and so forth, like I mentioned before. And this doesn't count, so for example here, where I've got the actual faction chest plate on, which is 535, I'm still only on about a 505 drop with the chest plate, so you've still got to put those on, watermark them up as you get the drops, which is something really important a lot of people don't do. and that will increase your drop chance because you won't get higher than that if you just stick with the one you've got. Even if it's like 507, it's not very good, put it on to replace it so that your watermark keeps continually going up. And this also counts for, obviously, shield. If you're using a shield, I personally don't. I just like the aesthetic. I think it looks cool with it on your back. Right there, a little gold shield with the cape. And for those of you wondering about the cape as well, that is from the tier 5 faction armor. But if you are going to be using the sword and shield, the shield will count towards your overall gear score. Obviously, both of your weapon slots. Ideally, this hammer has been in both of my slots, so now my highest one is 519. Makes the most sense. And then also you've got your jewelry, which you want to get up as much as possible. I've got the ones with the best stats on for me, but I've put some 525, 30 pieces in there that have also bumped that up as well, which is really, really useful. And you guys are going to want to make sure that you do that as soon as you get the higher tier stuff. Even if you're not going to use it, put it in and then take it back out. Now, the next thing is going to be making sure that you clear the elite zones daily. Like I mentioned there, the Shattered Mountains, where you've got this one right down here, which is Caminus. And then you've also got the 4 right up the top here, where you've got all of this big section. Very difficult. So make sure you bring a good team with you, or at least a few players to be able to do that. You've also got a section over to the left here, which I haven't been to in game yet. Then you've also got things like the top of Great Cleave, where you could go to. It's a slightly lower level one, level 50, but you could go and clear that if you wanted to as well. You've then got Ebonscale Reach, which is just down here, the Imperial Palace. This is a really good one to clear as well. And again, it's quite difficult, so make sure you take a good team. And then, of course, Reekwater, you've got this whole area here where you've got the Siren Stand. So if you've got the Expedition Keys, you can head in there too. And I believe there is another one in Reekwater. I might be wrong, so I'm not going to officially quote that. But at least make sure you're clearing each of these level 60 plus elite zones per day. And that is going to be because the elite chests rotate on a daily cooldown. So if, for example, like me, I did this one yesterday, when it gets to this evening, I'll be able to run this one again, and the loot chests and loot rolls will have re-rolled and reset so that I can go ahead and collect the elite chests again, which obviously have the best chance at dropping the better loot. So you're going to want to make sure you're pretty much doing all of those daily, or at least doing a different one each day, so that you were guaranteeing yourself to get those elite chests if you're only going to be playing for a couple of hours. Now, the next thing is going to be, do not ignore the quests. As you guys can see, particularly in Shattered Mountains, this is obviously a level 60 plus zone, as you guys can see just on the map there. Make sure that you're doing these quests. A lot of these are for legendary weapons, or they're quest chains that will lead into legendary weapons, or indeed just good drops. As I said there, the hatchet, I got this Death Rattle, really nice hatchet, energizing Feral Rush, which is fantastic for me, plus 25 strength on them, 510 gear score, very, very nice all round for me, especially when I just hit level 60 like I did a couple of days ago. Very good upgrade, and that came from a quest in Shattered Mountains, so it's certainly worth doing. And again, you've got all of Reekwater to do once you do actually get up to that level 60 area. There's loads of quests down there that are really, really cool. And of course, as you guys can see in my inventory now, I have a Lazarus tuning orb, which is something you get as a quest reward. And you also get one for Garden of Genesis as well. So you're going to want to make sure you're doing all of your side quests so that you do get those tuning orbs, as they are very difficult to make, and getting some free ones will never go amiss. And finally here, it's going to be to do your Townboard quests even when you hit 60 if you own a territory. Or indeed, like ourselves right now, we don't currently have our own territory, but our main allies in the game, DSG, they have one in Brightwood. So if we go in here, and as you can see, they've got a couple of tier 5s, a couple of tier 4s, but also a couple of tier 2s. So whenever I got the opportunity, I go down there, grab the Townboard quests, and work on them as I'm going about my daily stuff in New World, whatever it is that I might be doing that day, and go on ahead and complete as many of those as I can, because that is going to allow the settlement to progress and upgrade itself. As you can see, 12 upgrades, so there's a lot more that could be done there. So make sure that you don't ignore them entirely. Make sure you're still helping out your faction. Again, I could go to Everfall and help these guys out because they're in our faction, or Morningdale, and it's about making sure that you support the faction, level up the stuff that's going to help you, particularly if it's your own one, obviously, but also if you have allies, it's going to be really important. So don't forget about that once you hit 60. A lot of players just completely ignore Townboard for that reason of not getting the XP, but make sure you help your team level up those objectives. Other than that, guys, that is going to be it for today's video, so thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you found this video useful and informative. If you have, be sure to make sure you leave a like on the video down below, as it really does help me and the channel out. If you are new here to the channel and you'd like to see more New World content, then make sure you drop a subscribe down below with the notification bell on so that you don't miss any future uploads from the channel. And if you would like to catch some of the content live on Twitch, I'll be streaming over on twitch.tv/Invin with 2 N's on the end extra. You guys will see it on the screen now, and it will also be linked in the description and in the comments should you want to come over there and check it out. It'd be awesome to see you guys over there. Other than that, guys, if you'd like to join the Discord community, the link for that will be in the description and the comments as always. If you'd like to support me directly as a content creator here on YouTube, the join button is just below today's video for the membership program that we have available here. And other than that, as always, guys, thank you very much for watching. Take care and peace.